All right. Well, hello. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining the meeting today and for taking some time to listen and hopefully ask questions and learn something from this presentation proper. Um, Usually, my presentations are kind of, lined with a good amount of humor, and I have maybe one or two funnies here, but this is very different. As a career coach, which you'll see shortly, I understand the frustration of job searching. In fact, I am in the middle of a search myself. Hopefully, that will come to an end soon. But right, it's not a great time, and I really wanted to share my experience and try to be as helpful to anybody who might be having problems with their own job search. And share my experience over almost 30 years in the IT field, and see if I could do anything to help. If there are any requests to slow down a bit, speed up a bit, just let me know. This is the first time I've given this particular presentation, so I'm excited to share, and I have a lot of things to say, but I do want to be respectful of everybody's time and try to leave some time for questions. So, with that being said, um, this is the presentation: 10 reasons your job search isn't working and 10 things to do instead. Um, Obviously, by the picture I chose there, uh, it's pretty reflective of job searching today in general. I just took a LinkedIn quiz. They were asking what's most broken. Is it the job search process, the training of leaders, and some other options? The job search process got 37% of the vote, so pretty clearly it's a problem. Um, Quick overview of my background. I have a bachelor's in communication. Um, I have a master's degree in IT management. In between those, I actually online got a graduate certificate in project management from Missouri State. So go Bears. Um, and I've been kind of leading into a humanistic side of IT. I have spent almost 30 years in the IT field, particularly starting in documentation, support, administration, engineering. My last position was as a principal architect for a 300-person MSP out of Boston. And I've had technical and coaching roles. In 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. I decided I wanted to start writing my next act, and I became a certified career coach. And I wanted to have a practice helping people in my field. I'm certainly help other people as well, but I made my own company, help my IT career. If you want to learn more about it, reach out to me directly, helpmyitcareer.com. Happy to hear from you. So let's start with what the issue here is. It's pretty obvious. It's job searching, and it's really gross. It's like job searching is at the level of where people would put any time where they would move to another home of any kind of thing. It's about that much fun. Um, just it's exhausting, it's draining. This is a couple examples of things that were just all unfortunately too true for things that I found in the job search. Um, I cannot tell you how many times I think it's IMCMS says, yeah, upload your resume and now fill out every single form just in case our super great AI gets it wrong. Um, Not my favorite for sure. This was a quick chart on the reality of job hunting. A lot more frustration and certainly a lot longer than we think it's going to go. Uh, Again, I can think of a million things that would be more fun than doing a job search, especially for several months' time. And then finally, this is Ash, the Pokemon Master, and someone said a 10-year-old with 22 years of experience. Ash is what every employer is looking for right now. And I think people would probably agree that's not that far off, right? Like they're looking for what seems like this perfect idea of a candidate. And we know we're great candidates a lot of the time. So when they don't want to proceed with us, we start wondering what's wrong with us, start doubting our experience, our skills. It's a very normal, common thing to do. Um, I wanted here to deal with some difficult truths of the job search situation. It is hard. It is physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually draining, exhausting, and it is just a rough go. It goes right to the core of us, and part of that's because we tie our job and our title and our knowledge so much to our self and who we are as individuals, as professionals in our field. We've invested a lot of time and energy in growing into the field, learning, rising up the ladder, as it were, and anything that affects that negatively or being forced to be in a market with other people like that is very, very difficult. Um, you know, those of us in IT are relatively lucky. We have a lot more job prospects than some folks who are seeing their field change by what we offer in AI, machine learning, automation, things of that nature. So, that's great. It gives us a little bit of a leg up, but even when we are in demand and our skills are needed, the market's still challenging. If the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, what's the other one? Google and Netflix can be laying off tech workers left and right. Uh, it can happen to us as well. Um, it's really, really easy to feel bummed out, discouraged, depressed, frustrated. Um, and I very much know what this is like. And I'm sure a lot of you folks probably do as well. It's very normal, natural, but it's very not fun. I would tell you in these cases where you're really having a hard time and it's very frustrating, please do these things. Number one, practice self-care, whatever it is. If you have to walk away from the desk and the job search engines and the resumes and the calendar scheduling and do something you enjoy, go somewhere nice, enjoy the outdoors, weather, enjoy time with friends, family, do it. Please do what you have to do to take care of yourself as human beings. Second, I would say, talk with people who care about you as a person. Talk with people who know who you are and the kind of good work that you want to do and the professional that you want to be. These are going to be your best sounding board for kind of reigniting an understanding of your personal value in the world. Um, I really want you to know that you are not only the job you have. If you've been laid off, um, for any reason, um, fired, what have you, um, there's a lot tied to that. There's a lot of feelings, very few of them are any good, but I just would reiterate that you are more than just your job. And it may take a minute to see and understand what that means, but the people who are helping you see your own value and your self-care will help kind of lead to a place where you hopefully feel much better. And now 10 reasons your job search isn't working. I really wanted this to be kind of a practical start to finish explanation of what we all kind of go through in a job search process and some of the mistakes that even the most experienced among us can make. Um, and there's some good stuff in here too, I promise. I didn't want to make it all doom and gloom. every item here is going to have a suggestion or two to make things better. Starting off, reason number one, right? You don't understand your personal professional strengths, right? Aristotle, think about this. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And when you think about what it takes to find a job that's the right fit, to be the professional you want to develop yourself into, this is really important. You have to know more than just, say, programming languages or infrastructure things or large language models. You have to know how you work best, who you are, what works for you. These kinds of things are very important to being successful in the job search. um, how do you know what you like or you need in a successful job search if you don't know yourself, right? We are all very busy. We're all very go, go, go. We need to find ways to stop and take a moment and find the answers to what we need, right? This goes for your career as well. It's not just, interpersonally, socially, uh, even spiritually, emotionally, what we are and understanding ourselves. This goes for the career as well. Um, we need to understand what's going to work for us. And in order to do this, I would suggest that you use tools to help you identify your personal and your professional strengths. Um, One of the ones that I really find value in is the Strengths Profile book. I actually first got this when it was another older version of the book, had a different name. This is not, say, a whole, you know, personality test or anything, but what this book is, it helps identify, the things that will work for you based on four details: what you like to do, what you don't like to do, if you're good at it, if you're not good at it. And it's largely a quiz, a personal quiz. And you go through and it helps you identify these strengths and or even areas of growth and helps kind of focus you in the way you should go in order to find the best match for you. Um, Certainly, this will work for people not in IT as well. But even if you're pretty sure you know your career path, something like this will kind of help give you some perspective on, um, just how you operate and who you are and what really works. You may find something surprising. Reason number two, you'll take anything to make a change, right? And we've all had probably a moment where we say, "Oh, I just got to get out of here. I just have to find anything. I'll take anything, even things that are below my skill level and not in my interest level, just to get a job and continue working, making money." Right? I'll never begrudge anybody for doing what they have to do to put food on their table for themselves, their family, to get back in the workforce. It's all very personal thing, and all our reasons are largely, very personal to us. And right, if we're in that situation where we're having problems in our job search, um, right, like it's really not a fun feeling, as we've already talked about, right? Like bad jobs are even worse, right? Where you're just thinking your time being wasted, you don't feel listened to, you don't feel like what you're doing has value. And those are very bad scenarios. But when you're doing the job search, if you are desperate or even on kind of on the other end of that, almost disinterested, You can go through the motions of interviews and screeners and all of these things, right? But eventually you're going to have a moment where either you end up unhappy or the employer ends up unhappy, right? Because this isn't really what you want. It, you know, we all want to eat, we all want to provide, but being in a desperate situation and not really stopping and thinking about what we want in a job is a rough go, right? If you're desperate and you're just like, look, I just want a resume to get anything. Just look at what I've got so far, make me one, Ian. What I tell people is you can't just take a bunch of random skills or things that you've done necessarily and make a resume that people are going to want to read. There's a suggestion that you should have a different resume for every different type of job that you want to apply for. And I think that's pretty good advice. But if you don't know what's going to work for you, if you're not using discretion, you're not being intentional about what you want to choose, you can't focus the resume on those job requirements and you can't get the attention of the people who need to see the resume. It's very difficult to get the right kind of attention that right. The worst thing about all this, what if you do game the system, right? What if you get something that is not really what you want to do, but it'll do for now. My wife has told me you can do anything for 6 months, right? And that's okay in the process of trying to find out if it's a fit. But if we're just going to settle for the first job that comes our way and we know it's not a fit, we're not really going to be excited about it. We're not going to give our best effort. Eventually we might end up just hating that job as much as we might have been unhappy about the last one, right? We have to find situations where we can put our best foot forward as passionate professionals. And just give me anything is not showing discretion in what we choose. So do this instead. Define what you're looking for in a job search, right? You can start at a big level, like how big a company do you want to work for, right? What kind of culture do you want to have at this organization? What does this company do? If you are an environmentalist at heart, you're probably not going to want to work, for example, for a big oil company, right? That's not going to be a fit for your own personal values. Um, if you are someone who thrives in a traditional corporate culture, um, kind of a front office culture, but you end up at, say, a manufacturing company, and there's a lot of older manufacturing type cultures there, it may not be a match for you, and you may not work well within it. You can even go smaller than that also. Like, what do you need to be successful in just the role, right? Do you want to be a constant learner, right? Do you always want to be growing? Do you want to feel like you are doing something good for the company or a particular group of people or the world? Uh, Thinking about yourself and your own skills and abilities, do you need support from your team in order to achieve that? Are you going to be able to have opportunities to be mentored if you need them in order to take the next steps? All important things, and again, make sure all of these things match what you're good at and what you're excited about doing. Uh, you can be good at a lot of things you just don't want to be doing. Like in IT, particularly in support, administration, and stuff, right? The anathema of all uh, infrastructure folks is printers. Why do we have to deal with printers? They're always terrible, and you know, they're so frustrating. It's an anachronism in a modern world. If you've got an opportunity to be a printer admin for a company, is that really what you want to do? No, maybe not. You've got to make that decision, and in order to make that decision, you need to make sure that what is coming across your desk is going to really match who you are and your strengths. So, reason three, you don't know what you need to be successful. We're just successful. We just talked a little bit about it, right? Like, like money, money's great, right? Money makes a lot of problems go away, but money is not the only thing that makes time in a job or in a career successful. Of course, you'll hear that, you know, money, doesn't bring happiness, and that can be true for sure. It can solve a lot of practical things, but there's a lot more to choosing a job or finding an opportunity that is more personal. Again, company culture. If you are in the wrong culture and you are very much encouraged to work on a team with that culture, it is very, very difficult to do that. I have a friend who currently working for a large company, and it's very, very rah company culture where everybody is kind of drunk the proverbial Kool-Aid and there's a lot of buy-in. Every 3 months or so, they have a single day where all they do is just focus on aspects of the company culture and celebrate it. It's very go team kind of thing. And he's found out, it gives him a lot of what he wants, but he really isn't sure about the culture. That kind of non-fit or incompatibility, definitely a problem, right? What about career growth? We could definitely pull the lever, make the widget, move them on, and a lot of people will be happy with that. That's fine. That's a valid career option. But being in IT, a lot of us want more than just make the widget, move it on, clock out at the end of the day. We want to learn, we want to grow, and we want our career and the growth of our career to reflect all of the opportunities that we hope we are able to take by the hand and lead to a successful place. If there's not a path for career growth, that's a major reason for people leaving technology jobs, right? If you are basically told in some cases, yeah, don't worry about learning this new thing that came out, you're good. When you hear that, it's kind of like, well, if you don't want me to learn, you don't want me to grow, not a good sign, right? Right? When it comes to training, particularly, does the company have the things you need to learn? They're going to have available resources, be it a training budget, um, something for conferences, budget for those. Are are they going to have the resources you need to grow and develop your career in the way that you want? If not, and that's very important to you, that might be a very, very big problem, right? Things like a company car can be important. That can be a resource. If you're a salesperson driving around spot to spot, putting wear and tear on your own car, that can be pretty unreasonable at times. Are you going to have that, say, as a resource to help you do the job, right? Training budget, is the money there to help you develop as a professional? Or even things like flex time, right? For those of y'all with kids and family responsibilities, right? Things come up, things need to be taken care of. And if a company gives you the flexibility to basically say, look, just work an honest day, whatever it takes, you have flex time, that can be really important, well beyond money, in determining what a job fit is. So do this if you're having problems knowing what you need to be successful. Make a list of these things that you'll need. Just write them out and develop them and look at them and consider them yourself. It's an easy exercise, and as you think about it, you may discover things that you didn't think you would. Right? All the items that you write out should be chosen to match the sections item in the last section that match your strengths, right? We're wanting to stick with our strengths and know how we can best succeed and be compatible with it, right? And, and just thinking about these things and writing them down and looking at them, will help you plan to get these things. They will make them potential priorities in your next position. Um, let's say you are doing a lot of acquisitions. Your company's buying a lot of other companies, and you have to integrate other companies' IT into your company's stack, right? If you don't have the ability to learn or know about some of the technology stacks these other companies have, and you don't have the opportunity to do training or classes or what have you, it can be difficult. It might not be a good thing. It might not help you be successful in the role. The reason number four, you stay in your comfort zone, right? So this is a scary thing to put out there, but your skill set may be obsolete in 5 years. This may not apply to everybody or even anybody in the room watching this right now, right? But it's possible. Technology never slows down, it only speeds up. And we always have to be thinking about what's coming next, right? When I talk about your comfort zone, it's not really what you're good at doing, right? You can be good at doing a lot of different things. What a comfort zone is what you feel safe doing. You it's kind of a psychological safety, right? It's like I know that I won't screw anything up in this. This is my area of expertise. I feel very safe in operating uh, this. I've been doing switch administrative reclaims, basically getting logins and access back for about 30 switches on a project at an employer that I'm doing. And the question is, hey, can I trust you to do this and not take things down? I may not always have all the switch expertise that, say, someone who does it all day does it, but I know that I am safe enough to do it that I can kind of take a little step out and say, I don't know these models. I don't know this kind of brand of switch, but I know at least what not to do, right? I'm sure I will be safe in my decision making, right? But here's the thing, you're wanting something comfortable and something safe might be preventing you from growing and progressing in your career. Got a very interesting quote here. Nobody ever died of discomfort, yet living in the name of comfort has killed more ideas, more opportunities, more actions, and more growth than everything else combined. Comfort kills. And think about that. If we all just kind of stayed with what we knew in IT, our value is probably going to drop, right? We have to get outside of our safe zone, of our comfort zone, and look at what's coming next and, get the lasso of our knowledge and our awareness and our skills around that in order to take the next step in our career or even to move into an adjacent career, right? So do this. Start considering career expansion by looking at these adjacent skills. I have a friend who is a front end developer, and I ask them sometimes, like what's adjacent to front end? If you do front end, would it help you be a better professional, better developer if you knew more SQL on the back end? It might. Right? Got a DBA friend. He's trying to figure out what his next step is. I would say if you're a DBA, would you be better if you knew more about more than just the administration and performance tuning? Would it be better if you knew more T-SQL, perhaps, right? To be more programmatic in your approach? It might. Here's one outside of the programming world, right? If you're a desktop support tech, would learning automation help you in your job? If you're doing repeated, rote, easy, time-consuming tasks, what if you just script it? And when you think about these things, whatever they may be, and whatever the adjacent skill is, right? Right? The light bulb should come on in your head and be like, well, maybe I wonder how I would do that, right? Start thinking about the things that are nearby. You don't necessarily have to make a big jump from one major skill set into another. That can be very uncomfortable. It can be a hard uphill climb. But just think about maybe what's kind of around you and adjacent to what you do right now. All right, next reason. You don't know how to highlight your successes, right? We live in a world where selling ourselves is important. We may not like this, but it's the truth. We have to be able to talk about why we are of value to a potential employer, in a potential role with a potential skill set. We have to talk about what we can bring. What is our value proposition, right? Here's a problem for us particularly. Translating technical achievements into non-IT speak, right? It's hard to do, right? We can talk all about the cool technical projects and things we've done, but if the non-tech people, the hiring people don't understand it, what good is it? I was on a job committee to hire a network administrator several years ago. There was somebody who had a lot of military service, and he listed all the things that were done in the day-to-day of his job, right? Probably very relevant to the military audience who would know what the acronyms and the technology did and what it was important for. But to us, just on the committee, just run-of-the-mill civilian IT people, it was hard to understand how the value translated, right? Right? Metrics and numbers that can help tell stories, they don't tell the whole story, right? If if somebody doesn't know, say, what an Intune deployment is, for example, we can do a 10,000 desk Intune deployment, and that the number will look impressive, but we have to kind of help them understand what else is there. So these are, just a couple of the challenges that we run into as IT folk, right? If you have these problems, do this. Particularly in your resume, use story templates to help support your value. Right? What I mean by this is this. One of them is a task to result template, which I use pretty extensively in my resume and the resume of people I coach, right? And this is going to talk to the hiring manager, the technical people who are reviewing the resume, not necessarily the talent office, right? You would say, I did this thing, this process, I led an effort, I implemented something, I did something, and as a result, I generated this value. I saved the company this much money. I saved this many man hours. I reduced the time of a process. from 6 months to 6 days, things like that, right? Another one for even bigger projects, the problem solution impact template, right? You can use a situation if you're in an interview, get asked the question, uh, tell me about a big project you did that you led successfully and and what you did in it and how you led it. Talk about these things, right? Well, you can start with the problem. I had this size environment, this size scenario. I put forth and I implemented this solution, and then it generated this impact across one or multiple uh, aspects of the company and its operation. In both of these examples, you're showing your value. You're literally bragging, as in a manner of speaking, on things that you have done that are exact examples of what you can bring value wise to a potential employer. Right? And you got to help the reviewer of the resume understand the value you bring. And that's where speaking in, these non-technical aspects, 6 months to 6 days, uh, reduce the company spend by X number of percent on a certain area. These are the things that help get your point across, get your value across. Right? Tell your story. Tell your story in the resumes, tell your story in the interview. And at the end of each one of these mini stories, as you are in the interview, you're going through the process, have it end with you as the source of value. This is most important. Always show your value. All right. Number 6. All right. You don't research your competition. What does this mean? You're not a business, you're individual at a business. Well, it's not exactly that different. If you are getting declined for opportunities, if you are getting turned down to go further in an interview process or get a job offer, there's someone out there or something beating you. You need to know how they are doing it. You need to know why you are not the prime candidate that is at the top of consideration, right? This is an important part of the process, not just winning the job, but think about it. If you can't show your value and your skills don't keep up with your value, you may not be able to stay on the same career trajectory. Um, um, it is pretty risky to kind of go through a process and not understand how people are beating you, what they are doing, right? You need to know, right? So in my career, I've certainly, learned a lot of skills via certifications, and they're great. They do help things. They do give a piece of paper with a nice little, you know, star on it that say, "Hey, you can do this." But just kind of, you know, throwing a scatter gun at particular skills or certifications don't really resolve the gaps if you don't understand how they're going to be best put to use, right? You need to have a targeted effort to address the needs that you have in order to grow and be the pro that wins the opportunities, right? In order to do that, do this. Ask an AI platform, ask Google to find these resources that will literally list the skills you need for your job search in a particular area. I did this a few weeks ago. I just asked, I think it was Claude, I think it was Anthropic's AI. I said, okay, Claude, give me a list of all the skills I need in order to be a full stack developer. It listed every single thing. I'm sure you all know this, right? But think about this. It just told me what I need to start a career in the field, right? There was no listening to an old man talk about how things were done back in the day. There's no, you know, necessarily combing through lots of texts or forums to find this information. It's literally giving it to you. It doesn't have to be the end all be all guideline, but these kinds of things can absolutely help, right? Give these things levels, identify the critical things, the important things, and the nice to have things, kind of the side options, the things that would kind of be neat from multiple sites like this and multiple tools, and assess their own personal value to you. Think about, if I learn this, I can now do this. What are those things? And when you think about those things and you answer those questions, do they generate the value that you need going forward? Hopefully they do. But if they don't, you'll know to kind of either put them on a lower level of burner or just take them off the list entirely, right? It's all guidelines to help you identify what you need. And you can use these things that you kind of thin out and customize for yourself as your learning path and your growth path going forward. It doesn't have to all necessarily be done at once, say, but at least it's giving you a guideline. And other professionals you talk to can give you guidelines and things like that. But this is kind of all a journey of self-discovery and self-awareness, knowing yourself, like Aristotle said, right? Right. This is all meant to help you understand what you need to be successful, right? Full stack developer. It's literally just that easy. Chat GPT, uh, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, any of it. Try it out. See what it tells you. All right. Reason number 7, you use your personal network as your career coach. All right. Look, this is something people need to know about IT. We don't do things most people do, I think is a fair statement. And we know things most people don't know. We are a very oddball kind of field. And there are different oddball, subgenres within the field of IT, right? There's infrastructure, there's AI, there's development, there's data management, right? It's very complex. And the advice we get on careers and job searching might not be relevant to our field, right? We have to think about our field that we are in. It's very different than many other jobs, right? Right. And and we have to think about what kind of advice we accept uh, as part of our consideration, right? I told you at the beginning of the presentation, if you're really having trouble, talk to your friends, your loved ones, right? Get the support and reignite that feeling of value that you have uh, to feel that way. But keep in mind, unfortunately, these personal connections, they might not tell you what you need to do if they know it, just to kind of spare your feelings because you're going through a rough time. They might not have the right answers. They might have an opinion that's just way off the wall. Go right into that interview and tell them how you're the best expert they'd ever that ever coded, right? That's not how you show that you're a professional, right? Right? You have to choose the sources you get your suggestions from. They have to be trustworthy and they have to be able to speak directly to how you can do what you do better. You always should want to be a better professional. And a lot of times, the people in our personal networks, our non-business networks, they just don't know it. They may have a good idea or two at the edge, but they don't know enough about what we do or how we do it. Right? To manage this, do this instead. Seek out IT-focused mentorship organizations or social engagements to meet potential mentors or coaches. You might be asking, where do I find one of these organizations? Like, how do I get to these get-togethers, right? You're already here. You're in one right now. This is the kind of networking, dare I say, opportunity, the kind of opportunity you get to meet your peers, people who have been where you have been, people who are looking to get where you are. We can all trade ideas, share our goals, our interests. We can all share strategies for being successful, right? This is what these events are meant to do. Don't be afraid to join one, even if it's not in your local area, or even if it's just not exactly what you're doing right now, right? If there's a sequel DBA get together and you have some loose interest in sequel and might be inclined to learn more, check it out. Not going to hurt anything, right? Like, and who knows? You never know who you will meet or what they can bring to your career. This is one that I have gone to several times here in St. Louis, where I am. Literally, techie people just hang out in a community space for 3 hours, network, they share what they're working on, and they eat pizza, right? Free pizza, no less. And who's going to turn down free pizza? No, obviously that's not the main reason you're going to these things. Get some free pizza, chat over a slice, right? Like, what's the harm, right? These are good opportunities that have value. Right? Reason number 8: you don't use your professional network to its fullest. And I'm going to try to address something about what I just spoke about. When we think about these meetups, these social events, these get-togethers, conferences, uh, even conventions, bigger conventions for say like AWS or Azure or who knows, right? Right? We don't think about what these can do for us. We're kind of averse. I read a survey recently on LinkedIn. Survey said out of 3,000 people, I believe, up to 85% of the jobs they got were filled by networking with people rather than just doing the whole job cycle process, right? Looking for cold leads on job and trying to warm them up and get in the door that way. But I also read that just under half of the pros responding to a similar survey said they don't really keep in touch. Like, majority of people don't keep in touch with their network, right? Under half of the people are keeping their network connections active, right? Do you see the gap here? Let me explain it to you this way. The vast majority of jobs are being found by your network connections and knowing people, but only less than half of surveyed people are willing to do what they have to do to use the most effective method, right? If they could do more networking, keep these connections live and grow that network out, who knows what they'd run into, right? Who knows what kind of success they could have, be it in their own business and just career search, shared interests in anything else. You never know, right? Uh, that's just crazy to me, right? I understand that there are difficulties with professional networking, right? You might think it's like artificial, like it's just like, oh, I have to put on a face and, go through the whole rigmarole of meeting people, and I don't want to do it. Like, yeah. Sometimes you don't want to do it, but this is what works, right? We have to find a way to get over our discomfort and use the most successful methods of the job search and our skills to make those connections and expand our job horizon, right? So let me ask you a question. Do you like meeting people, even new people outside of professional networking events? Say at a bar, a concert, a sporting event, um, an art fair, literally anything. Do you like going out and meeting people outside of events like this meetup, things like that, right? What you can do is apply the same attitude you use with your personal enjoyment to professional network, right? It may take a little practice, but think about it. If you like meeting people based around things that you enjoy doing, right? You only get to do those for a certain amount of time. You're doing your job, ideally, at least 40 hours a week. Why wouldn't you make those connections and grow those possibilities, right? Think about it. Let's do this. There's a video on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn as well, I believe. There's an executive coach. I believe she owns her own recruiting agency, executive screening and search agency named JT O'Donnell. She is super sharp. If you're in person, take a picture of this screen. If you're remote, screenshot it. Watch this video. Everything that you may not want to do in a personal, in-person network connection kind of environment, this video can help you get around. It will help you find the back door to connecting, at least on sites like LinkedIn and other sites like that, with other people who are your peers and could be your coworkers. This is highly valuable. I only learned about this maybe a month, 5 weeks ago. It has done a lot to advise what I suggest to my own clients. Right? Find one industry event that interests you and go to it, right? Just try it. It's something interesting to you, right? Try going to it. Try networking, making connections with people, right? What's the worst that could happen? If you don't find anybody you want to talk to, but it was still lightly interesting, you go home. But what are all the good things that could happen as a result, right? Try it. Reignite your passion at networking opportunities for what you do. You're supposed to be presenting yourself as a value proposition, right? It's very clear to see your value if you're excited about the thing that you can do, right? If you are the best at performance tuning of SQL queries and you get excited about that at work, why wouldn't you go and like find other people who are interested, share, talk, connect? One other thing I might also say is that if you think it's tenuous, it's like, I don't really want to go, you know, a lot of other people are feeling the exact same way. They're in your exact position. Meet those people, help them get over their feeling of apprehension about networking. It will really, really serve you well. Right? Reason number 9, you follow random career advice on the internet. I know I'm getting a little long here. It won't be too much longer. Right? Right. People who want to be helpful, that's one thing, right? Like, like, people want to share their ideas, their opinions, and that's great. Everybody has thoughts and ideas of what can make things better, right? But IT industry, as we know, isn't like the other fields. We generally make a little more money. We have very specific skill needs. Like, do a lot of the people giving career advice who are not supporting the technical industries, do they even know about the recruiting industry and how it works and how to field calls and how you are processed through a relationship with a recruiter? Probably not, right? This is very specific to us and other technical fields. And this random advice probably not going to be reflective of it. I think I've said before, the credibility of the advice you take is important, so important in making your first best impression to other people in your field, your peers, potential employers, right? You've got to come with the right information, generate the right value proposition, right? Right. So do this. Validate any suggestions that you see for career advice against multiple sources for accuracy, right? Make sure these sources are relevant to IT, or literally, I would say the same thing to anybody in any field that they were looking for a job in, right? I don't know about plumbing. I'm going to call a plumber, right? I'm not going to give a plumber IT related career advice and vice versa. It shouldn't work that way. We have to be particular in the advice we take, right? Follow your gut instinct. If somebody has made a career suggestion, uh, if something doesn't feel right, you shouldn't do it. Definitely don't do it. Think about any suggestion you get, the source, the motivation. Just stop, take that momentary pause, and think about it. Right. This is also kind of specific to the job search industry. Be vigilant against those who would sell you false wisdom. There are a lot of people out there who are very, very willing to sell you a series of videos or some personal coaching at a very high level of expense a month or even for a year. Guarantee you get a job, guarantee your career will take off from there. Think about them too and consider before you commit to something like that what their motivation is and what, if any, value they may or may not be bringing to you and your search. All right. Reason number 10, you don't learn from your failures. All right. We all have failures. Every single person watching this has had some kind of job search failure, career failure. It is normal, it is natural, right? And it's tough. If we get rejected, especially in our career field, right? It's tough, but we have to stop and take stock. We can't let the failure and the feelings of disappointment and frustration prevent us from making the right decisions going forward. We have to find a way to get back to center and start looking again for our next opportunity. We have to have, you might call it grit or resilience. We have to find a way to find that strength within ourselves to be able to do it. And failure, honestly, is not so bad, right? The best explanation I ever heard about failure is a few months ago. It was very, very simple. It's very short. It makes so much sense. Failure is feedback. If we can stop feeling the pain for a minute, gather our thoughts, and say, okay, there's a lesson to be learned here. What is it? Gather information and look back and say, oh, I see what I did. I didn't explain this aspect of my skills enough, so the interviewer didn't know that I actually know a great deal about this thing. Next time I'll know that I can pull that out and speak that extensively, share that, and be more willing to share, and going forward even beyond that, if I have to, I'll know better what they're targeting and how to respond, right? We all have things in our life where we've had failures outside of career, even, right? But if we can take the lesson from that and apply it to the back to the process, right? We're already supposed to be doing the ITIL process, right? Continuous service improvement. This is exactly what this is. It is feedback to help us do better the next time, right? We can learn what we need, right? Directly as an exact example from our failures, right? It's okay to feel bad and have our moments of frustration and anger, sadness, and things like that. This is all very natural, right? I would not tell you to, you know, you know, suck it up, let's keep going, right? Right? We need to feel these things so we can work through them and turn on our thinking brain again, put our emotional brain in the background for just a little bit and get back to knowing how to improve our value proposition and the process of sharing it. All right. So do this. If you can reach out to the hiring manager of a job you didn't get, you can say, hey, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and hear about the job and learn about the company. Do you have any suggestions for what I could be doing to develop myself better? Right? Do you have any thoughts on what I can be doing to be a better pro in this area? Because I was really excited about this, and I'm not going to stop looking for this kind of thing. Sometimes, honestly, you won't hear back, but in the opportunities where the hiring manager or someone else in the process responds and gives you valuable feedback, you take that internally and you use that to come back stronger and better and more aware the next time, you'll be glad you did. When when that hiring manager or whomever lists the things that they want to know, want you to know more about as a candidate, right? These abilities that you need to know in order to do the job, right? Think about their value, process it, and pick some of them up, the best ones intentionally. These are things that are going to help also advise you on the skills you need to learn, grow, and be a better pro, right? And think about it. If if a question on these skills comes up in your next interview and you are able to say, they'll say, so tell me about your experience with blah blah blah, right? What do you know? What have you done so far with this skill, with this technology? If you've already started taking in just a little bit of it, you're ahead of the game, right? Because you be honest, you say, I'm actually I haven't had a lot of practical experience, but I've been spending a lot of time learning and growing that skill. This is kind of where I am, and I really want to get to the point where I can do it for this purpose. This is building a conversation, it's building rapport, it's building trust in your skills for the people talking to you. This is very, very valuable to you. Oh, great. Duplicate slide. Awesome. Okay. I did say I would bring other good things, good suggestions to this presentation. Here's some of them, right? Things you should be doing throughout the job search process. Right? Stay confidential. This may be obvious. Some people don't think of it. Be careful with whom you share your search with. Your professional network is probably not the right arena in which to share your frustrations and ask for deep, insightful information. You are trying to always present a value proposition. Figure those things out outside of the professional network, except if you have sources you really, really trust. Bring those skills to yourself, start the process over, come back as a stronger professional. But be very careful about, what you share and with whom you share it. Guys, stay classy, right? If you're going to say something bad about an employer now or a boss or something like that, I don't know about Springfield, but I know St. Louis is a very large, small town. You never know who might be your hiring manager or interviewing you, or who might know your hiring manager and they might reach out to you for their opinion. Hey, do you know this person? Like, what do you think about them and their skills? Got to be very, very careful, right? Stay classy. Always be honest. Be honest with other people when you talk about your skills and your experience. Be honest with yourself when you find limitations or roadblocks or things you have to do to learn and grow. It's not a matter of self criticism, it's a matter of self development. If you can get past the critical nature of these problems and find the potential solutions, bring it back into the cycle, continuous improvement. Do the hard work of the not only the job search, but the career development process. Find opportunities to do your thing, even if they're not high paying, or even some cases, volunteer opportunities are great. Research your career, research where it's going, what is coming next. Take time, whatever you can manage, right, to do independent learning and study of what you need to be a better professional in your field, and be an active participant in the continuous improvement process. Don't just expect that you'll always come with the same value proposition every time. If you go too long, it might not be as valuable as it used to be. This is why you always have to keep learning and growing and becoming a better professional. All right. One more piece of bonus advice. This is one of the best pieces of advice a manager ever gave me. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need to be successful. What does this mean? Right? If you are in a job and you need support, you need that company car, you need that training, you need that opportunity to cross train with another group to grow, understand things better. Whatever it is, if getting this thing is going to be the crux of you being successful in a position or in a potential opportunity, do not be afraid to ask for it. You are advocating for your own success. And it may seem like it's a burden, and you may have to find the right words for a sticky situation. But if you learn how to ask for what you need to be a successful professional, you will never regret it. It may also tell you things that you didn't expect to find out, which may instigate a change if this employer doesn't give you the support or the things you need to be a success. Don't be afraid to do it. All right. Thank you for giving me some extra time here. Um, are there any questions? I really don't mean to take up too much time, but if anybody has any, I really want to share and help and give advice. So floor is open if anyone has any.
All right. I've got a microphone that I can bring around to anyone who has questions.
Okay.
Really quick, I want to make sure. I'm going to turn a camera on here that should let you see the audience, Ian. Let me know if that came
Great.
through. Sweet. All right. Questions. All right. 1 second.
Hello, you're doing an excellent talk. I'm in a
Thank you.
professional situation where I'm relatively undifferentiated at the moment. I don't have a lot of specialization in a lot of things, and taking that advice is like you kind of have to focus on a specialty to learn before you go that direction. I don't have a lot of good contacts in that arena that could tell me, hey, this specialty is good, this specialty is bad. How would you develop those contacts in a specific pointed, hey, what field should I pursue sort of manner?
So does this mean that you're starting your career as a generalist and you're looking to get more specific by interest and personal growth goals?
Roughly speaking, yes. I have
Okay,
abilities in tech stuff, but I get the feeling that specificity is where the money's at.
so I have told a couple people that the way to make the most money in IT is to find the rarest, weirdest thing that is used and is very important to a few specific companies or a particular field, become an expert in it. Um, and that may be true, but speaking of strengths and interests, you want to know and understand what those are and how what you may be looking for might be your growth area. I have done a lot of my career as a generalist in the infrastructure and administration kind of fork of the IT field. And I've been successful as it just because I want to learn and know a lot of things. If you are looking to learn about a particular area, if there is a community, even online, like Reddit, that can help provide some context or even contacts or a chat event, uh, Discord channel, what have you, to start gaining that information, reach out to it, give it a shot. If there's someone in person that you can meet, or there's a meetup event, even better, right? Hopefully they'll have an open opportunity to ask questions like we're doing now, and say, hey, I'm kind of starting out. Can you all suggest things for me in this field, in this area that I would need to know before I committed too deeply, right? Um, I would say for the most happiness, spend some time in trying to figure out what you're passionate about. I'll tell you that 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 strengths profile book, if you're just general and you don't know what you want to be specific about, it might be very useful to you.
All right. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. All right. Let's give Ian a huge round of applause for that presentation.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I really appreciate the time and the attention. And please visit my website, helpmyitcareer.com. You can reach out to me there, or just find me on LinkedIn. Um, I do this as a passion project, slowly, surely turning into a business. And I want to reach out, talk, help, and learn from as many people as I can. Even if you think your question's silly, reach out. Let's just have a conversation. Also, of course, thank you so much to the sponsors who make this all possible tonight. Much appreciated.